So welcome everybody. We'll have the picture in like 10 minutes or 10 to 15 minutes. No rush on that one. I disabled my camera because I'm jumping on a room and it would look awkward. Now, welcome everybody on the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform Microsoft community call. This is the Tuesday call, 8 a.m. Pacific time, every single Tuesday except on July and August, where we will have a summer break. But this is the call where we have Microsoft speakers sharing all of the latest and greatest around Microsoft 365 Power Platform and other related topics. My name is Vesa Juvonen. It's really good start when you cannot pronounce your name properly. My name is Vesa Juvonen. I'm a principal product manager in Microsoft 365 areas, and I'll be your host today. Now, we'll go through the latest updates and news on the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform, looking on what was announced last week in Build, and there was a lot of again blog posts across the different blog areas. It's a bit confusing that we have like 70, 50, 80, 175 blogs, which you need to follow up on getting the latest. That's why we're doing the extra effort, collecting all of the news articles within this Tuesday call and get it shared in the chat and also in the call recording in the YouTube, if you had noticed that. We also have a group photo in Together mode, which seems to be working today, which is awesome. And then we actually go to the real stars of today, who are Marc Windle and Bob German. And Marc is going to talk about adding Copilot to your custom SharePoint embedded app. That's a really cool topic. We were unable to share what the title is last week because it was announced in Build that this is a capability which is now supported. And Marc is going to go through that one. And then we have Bob German is going to talk about a bit about more on Copilot plugins, and we'll see what is the exact topic for today. Bob, we didn't update the title for today. It's okay, we update the title for next week. We'll get to that section later as well. Only 2 demos, which is good. We're not rushing in either one of them, so we have plenty of time to go through the different assets and topics and all of that stuff as well. So a lot of stuff available for you to take advantage. If you're new to these areas, we do have our Microsoft Community Learning videos YouTube channel, which previously was the Microsoft 365 Power Platform Community YouTube channel. It was now renamed as Microsoft Community Learning YouTube channel to make it even more inclusive across the different areas and topics when we're looking into publishing even more videos within that channel in the future. We also have our LinkedIn group for discussions. We actually have a LinkedIn page for updates as well. And then there's open source and there's sample galleries, how to find call samples for your supporting your work. And then, of course, we have our one centralized URL to remember, AKMS Community Home, where you can find all of these links and much more to help you to succeed within your career. Now, talking about that one, pretty recently, we're still having the slide here because it was a relatively recent update. We modernized that page, AKMS Community Home. It's a beautiful looking page where you can always follow up on what's all of the different community calls. We will have more community calls published there in the future, upcoming events, all of that stuff. So you can easily stay up to date on all of the different opportunities engaging with the community. Now, as mentioned, our YouTube channel has been renamed. So AKMS Community YouTube is the URL to actually access that. There is same content, same material, same idea. We're publishing all the time new content available on that channel on a daily basis. I think we published already 3 videos today as an example, and more stuff coming on day-to-day basis. So great channel to subscribe. We focus on sharing content, not really on how would I put this in a nice way. So if you want to be super successful in YouTube channels, the guidance is don't publish more than 2 videos in a week. But where would we then publish all of the awesome guidance and videos what we're producing? So we want to use this channel as the location to find all of the different things across the Microsoft and Power Platform and even more for you to be successful within your work. Now, we do have, of course, our community, a lot of community calls. We talked about that one. And where is my mouse? I clicked to somewhere else and now it's not moving. There we go. This call is 8 a.m. Pacific time, and we will be on summer break on this call from July and August. When you click the URL, which is in that invite, you will be redirected to a page which will give you the insights on that call is being on pause. We do apologize on that one, but it would be really hard to book Microsoft presenters especially during July and the mid to August, and it's just easier to understand that okay, July, August, we are on break. The other calls will be executing normally, so Power Platform Office Finance monthly community calls executed throughout the summer as well. And then we have our Thursday 7 a.m. Pacific time series, which is either Microsoft 365 or Power Platform community call or Viva Connection SharePoint Framework community call. Both of those calls are executed normally throughout the summer, so we have always somebody within this call helping you with your questions, helping you to get the latest and greatest and having cool demos available from the community. Now, AKM's community calls, one URL to download all of those things. Meetup, great opportunity for knowing the agenda advance. So if you subscribe to Meetup, you will get those notifications on that. Now, we mentioned that some of these calls are community presented calls or demos, to be precise. Well, actually, some of the calls are even hosted by community members. We do welcome you to do demos here. It doesn't have to be rocket science. It doesn't have to be anything special. It doesn't have to be open source, but it cannot be a product to demo. That's not what we're looking for. If you're sharing your findings within the products, out-of-the-box features, or something cool which you have seen, or you build something, or a pattern, or whatever you're doing on the day-to-day basis, those are absolutely welcome. At the AKMS community request demo, fill in the form. We'll get you queued up on the community. All of your demos are getting them promoted to our YouTube channel and social media, so you will get the exposure for the great work for volunteering on the calls. We also have a lot of assets available for getting started on Microsoft 365 Cloud. The developer program still in pause, unfortunately. Hopefully, we will get that one alive and getting back within autumn. No progress or changes on that one. I will have one upcoming slide. Or next slide is going to cover a bit about that one. A lot of material in the Microsoft Learn to get started on Microsoft 365 platform and even more. Now, on the developer program, as we talked about in the past, unfortunately, that's in right now in pause mode. You will need to have a Visual Studio subscription, which is pretty expensive, or the alternative is to subscribe a normal Microsoft 365 tenant. And those are roughly 70, or the cheapest option is $72 within a year. So it's not a massive cost. We do understand that there is a cost associated in here, but unfortunately, we were trying to provide all of this program for free for you, but then that meant that some people started using that in a wrong way, and a really, really, really bad way. So we needed to make the program in pause and basically have a payment function here so that we can identify the person who are subscribing and who is using the tenant. Now, whenever the developer program will come back, hopefully it will come back, I cannot confirm or deny that, there will be some sort of a payment or identification program available, and that is, again, because otherwise people are unfortunately using the free stuff what they're getting in a wrong way. I completely understand that it's not a optimal situation, but people are people, no can do. Now, we do have our platform shows, Microsoft 365 Power Platform shows available, PMP Weekly, latest one episode today. There's Monday and Microsoft Bi-Weekly on Mondays, that was aired yesterday, and then Microsoft 365 Developer Podcast is back, and this time it's together with Jeremy Fake and Andrew Connell, and they have at least one episode already available, and more coming in the future. We also have a lot of samples available. We kind of touched this already. 1960 is already available within the AKMS community sample, so please don't start from scratch. Go to that location, have a look. Maybe you're looking in a PowerShell script to do something X and Y and Z within your tenant. Where would I find a script sample which would help me to succeed on this? Hey, I know, AKMS community samples. And there we go. We have hundreds of PowerShell samples or CLI samples available from that one centralized location as well. So don't bang your head against the wall. Take advantage of the options which you have available in here. Now, as you find the sample, you might be wondering, oh my God, I don't know what to do with this sample, but that's why we have our Sharing is Caring initiative. And of course, we have our David Warner directly from LA sharing what is this all about. And I can see a scheduled session again, which is really, really cool.
Woo, yes, thank you, Vesa. We are live with Sharing is Caring. We are back, baby. So what is Sharing is Caring for all those out there wondering? What is Sharing is Caring? It is a hands-on way to get involved. So we're going to walk you through a variety of topics. We're retooling some of them. So we're kicking back off with the Power Platform and M365 samples contributor. What does that mean? It means we're going to join live Teams calls together, walk through doing an actual GitHub pull request to submit a sample into a live repository. And if all those words are foreign to you, don't worry, join, because we're going to explain them all and work through it together. It's live. It is a safe space, so we do not record it. So you're free to ask any and all those questions that you would like to ask that maybe you don't want recorded, because we get it. Sometimes it's nerve-wracking to do that because you think, should I already know this? No, we're there to learn together. So we just had a session last week just before Build, kicked off a nice way to enjoy Build. Tons of people on. We had over 40, so it's a great way. June 24th is our next scheduled session. It is live and ready for registration, ak.ms/sharingiscaring. So get on it. We'll see you there. And then once you do contribute, we want to recognize you. Our recognition program is live and well, and we are coming up with new fun badges like our multiverse contributor across different repos. So when you do start contributing, we want to recognize you, and it is free, 100% covered the cost we do for you in the community. Powered by Credly, so you can associate those badges to your LinkedIn profile, to your resume. Show them to your clients, show them to your bosses that you are making a difference. It's our way of giving back, and it is absolutely no cost. So if you haven't already opted in, ak.ms/community/recognition, Vesa, back to you in the Finland studios.
Excellent. Thank you, LA, and David Warner and the DJ voice, as somebody was saying in the chat. So thank you for that one. Thank you, David, for joining once again. And thank you for all of the awesome work what you're doing for the community. So really, really cool. Just to give that opportunity to give you some credits on this one as well. So some of the events, Seattle, DC, Dallas coming. Thank you, David. Thank you, David, on that one. Seattle, DC, and David coming. David, see, David, now I'm confused.
I'm coming soon,
Seattle,
baby.
DC, Seattle, DC, and Dallas are coming pretty soon. So starting from Seattle at June 3rd to 7th. So that's pretty soon happening in the Seattle side. Great opportunities for catching up with the community. And then in September, we have the Power Platform Community Conference at Las Vegas happening at MGM at the 18th of September. Great opportunities of getting involved with the community. Now, on top of this, there's a lot of other events happening all around the world, which are all getting aggregated to the communitydays.org location. And for example, this week, there's the Dynamics Mind happening in Slovenia, or within July, we have the Biz Apps Partners Summit happening in Bellevue in Washington, DC, or there's a Tech by NIA Copilot. I don't know what that is, but that's happening in Manila in the Philippines. There's a lot of opportunities across the world. Some of these are free. Some of these might have a small cost. Some of them are remote. Some of them are in person. So great opportunities for catching up with the community. Now, a lot of news last week. We're not going to go through any of them today, but there's a lot of news which are available for you to stay up to date on all of the different announcements which we did within the Microsoft build. A lot of cool things happening over there. We have shared the list of news within the chat. If for whatever reason you don't have access on the chat, we'll put the links on all of the news also in the recording, which will go live in the YouTube channel within less than 24 hours. Now, I guess we are closing in to demos, but before we get there, we have the updates on Teams platform, and Surpi is here to cover them.
Thank you, Vesa. Hi, everyone. So here is a quick sneak peek into all the features that we released at Build for GA and Dev Preview. You can go through the step-by-step guide to build a custom Copilot to chat with your data using Teams AI Library and Toolkit, or you could enhance your Copilot message extension plugin to hand off a conversation to your custom engine Copilot. Do try them out. And if you have any feedback or suggestions, please post on aka.ms Teams platform feedback. The link is available in the footer. You could also configure to the RSS feed to get regular platform updates. So do check out the latest announcements as well. Thank you, and over to you, Vesa.
Excellent. Thank you, Surpi, on that one. A lot of great announcements over there. A lot of investments across the board in Microsoft Teams, in Copilot and SharePoint and all of that stuff. Cool. Now, the next piece is to get on with picture. I'm currently the only one who seems to have the video on, unless, there's another people. There we go. Now we're getting more people. And it's working. Almost pixel perfect. I can see Stephanie being pixel perfect on the screen. There we go. Thank you, David, for the sound effects. Always really welcome. Now, we do have 50 seats on the room. Let's try to fill this one up. There's Mark over there. I can see Bob in the middle. A lot of familiar faces in the room. Really good. Really, let me actually do that one away. A few more seats. Don, I saw Don on East Wiesbaden as well in Germany pretty recently. Clearly had a great time on there as well. A few more seats, one more row filling in. We're not yet recording. There we go. We're filling in the whole room. Excellent. I will put the recording on and let's do some hand waving, everybody. 3, 2, 1. And I can see a duck in the middle. That's good. Even ducks are welcome. See. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Really cool to have you on the call. And thank you for this one. Excellent. We'll grab a GIF animation out of that and share it in social media. Thank you, everybody, for being in the call. Great fun always. And now let's then move into the actual stars of the day. So we'll start with Marc Windle and then go to the Bob Sherman. And Marc is going to talk about something which we're not allowed to talk on last Tuesday, but today we can. Right, Marc?
Yep, that's right. All right, I'm going to share my screen. Let me know when you can see it, please.
I got the screen. Take it away.
All right, amazing. Thank you. Hey, everybody. Oh, let me minimize this Teams thing. Yeah, Marc Windle here. I'm a product manager at Microsoft working within the OneDrive and SharePoint group, and specifically within SharePoint Embedded. Today, I'm going to talk about how you can add a pro dev custom Copilot chat experience to your SharePoint Embedded application. So I'll do a quick overview with some of the slides and things like that, give you some theory. Then we'll code that up together in a demo, and then I'll also share how you can join our private preview that we're doing for that. Okay, so before I start talking about how you can integrate Copilot-powered experiences into your SharePoint Embedded apps, I want to do a quick primer on SharePoint Embedded for those that aren't yet familiar. If you haven't come across it, we are doing a series in this call, but if you haven't come across it yet, at a high level, SharePoint Embedded, like its name implies, provides a way for you to embed SharePoint storage into your custom application. It's a headless platform as a service that offers a set of pay-as-you-go APIs on Microsoft Graph that allow you to store and manage content in a Microsoft 365 tenant. So it effectively allows you to create a custom content partition that is specific to your application inside your user's tenant. And with SharePoint Embedded, you can bring core content management, Office desktop and web experiences, and security trim search experiences to your custom application by default. It's built into the platform. You as an app developer don't need to go build it yourself. It just comes as part of the platform. So, and if you're an administrator of a tenant who's using an application that's built on SharePoint Embedded, you and your organization get a whole bunch of benefits from that platform too. So first off, you don't need to grant broad permissions to a custom app. You can grant it access to manage its own content partition inside of your tenant, but that doesn't give it access to any other data in your organization, like OneDrive, SharePoint, or other apps. And also, because SharePoint Embedded content is stored inside your Microsoft 365 tenant, all of the existing security, compliance, and business continuity requirements that your organization has continue to be met on that application's data. So like e-discovery, audit, retention policies, sensitivity labels, and more, all of that just works by default. So we announced general availability for SharePoint Embedded last week at Build. If you haven't come across or you want to learn more, you can check out the recordings on YouTube from this call, or you can go to that ak.ms/start-SBE link. Okay, so that's SharePoint Embedded. The thing I want to talk about today, though, is that bottom item on the right called Copilot Ready. That's what I want to focus on. SharePoint is Copilot Ready by default. Now, I mentioned that every bit of content that gets put into SharePoint Embedded automatically goes into the lexical search index by default, and that's true. But it also gets put into the semantic index. It's the same semantic index that is used by the M365 Copilot system. So that content is not just AI ready by default, but it's also security aware. So all of the security descriptors that are required to deliver a secure and compliant experience that honors not only like permissions on that AI content, but also meeting your organization's security and compliance requirements by like honoring information barriers, data residency, and access policies. All of that is kind of built into the platform, and so you don't need to worry about it. So the content is AI ready and in a secure aware way as well. Two key points about that. Or two key takeaways from this slide in addition to that. When you build your app on SharePoint Embedded, that content is accessible if you want it to be. It's available to Microsoft 365 Copilot. So that means you can open up M365 Copilot in Teams or Office.com or wherever you access it, and you can reason over, summarize, and interact with the content that is in a custom application built on SharePoint Embedded. So that in and of itself is super powerful. And the thing that we're announcing private preview for is that you have the ability to create a custom Copilot and put it into your SharePoint Embedded application. And that's the thing that we're going to do a demo on, and we'll build it together, and I'll show you what that looks like. But this is a quick mock-up of what that looks like. So here's an example of an HR recruiting application that's built on SharePoint Embedded. That is a good candidate. That type of application is a good candidate for building on SharePoint Embedded because it has a whole bunch of files and content. So you might have job descriptions, resumes, interview feedback, hiring policies, and a whole bunch of other content. That makes it a good fit to build on SharePoint Embedded. And so within this app, though, we're seeing in that kind of mock-up on the right-hand side, we're seeing a custom Copilot in action. It's integrated directly into that HR Smart app. What that allows you to do is, you can have a highly tuned, highly customized experience inside that app. So depending, like the real power here is that like you can use dynamic app context to control the chat experience for your user. So whether, depending on that user's role within that app, maybe they're a hiring manager or an HR representative, or they're a candidate even, you can control the chat experiences based on the user's role in the app or where they are within your application. If you're looking at a list of jobs or maybe you're looking at hiring policies, you can completely change and customize the chat experience based on that. And so the thing that we're going into private preview with is really two things that you can take advantage of. One is a React component that you can use to just drop this chat experience into your application really quickly. That's what we're going to build together. But there's also an underlying API surface that's offers a rich set of customizing capabilities that if you're not using React, you can use that as well. So before we go into building it, just a quick plug for this. If this sounds interesting to you or your organization, you can go register your organization to participate in this custom Copilot's private preview program for SharePoint Embedded. Visit that link, ak.ms/SPE Copilot. All right, now we're going to get into the demo. I'm going to break out of PowerPoint and I'm going to open up this web browser here. So remember that mock-up that I showed you earlier of that HR recruiting platform? This is a live version of that. So here we're looking at a live version of an HR recruiting application, and we're looking at the jobs page. So each of these here is a job posting. And if you're familiar with SharePoint Embedded, under the hood, each of these job postings is actually a file storage container. So it's effectively kind of a headless SharePoint document library that you can interact with. And that's good because not only are we going to have the job posting in here that I can click on, we also have resumes or offer letters, interview feedback. So it really gives you a container to put all of the content associated with that particular job posting. Excuse me. So I clicked into that Office document. So nothing to do with Copilot quite yet, but I wanted to show you, you can interact with Office documents. Here we're looking at the Office web experience. And in here we can, access this Office experience directly from our custom HR recruiting application. And we can collaborate, co-author, app mention, and do all the stuff that you've come to expect within Office experiences. But I'm going to get rid of that, and we'll just kind of draw your attention to this big empty space here on the right. That is where I'm going to drop this custom Copilot into my app. So to do that, I'm going to open up Visual Studio Code. And all we have here is an empty React component. What I'm going to do here is we're going to code up together adding this chat component. So I'm going to add the chat embedded React component. That is the component that we're adding in private preview. Once I add that, you see that it's complaining that I'm missing an auth provider. So in order to have that component actually show up, I do need to give it an auth provider. That is a very simple construct. All it has is a method to be able to get a token. And that is getting a token, under the context of my SharePoint Embedded application. It's a delegated token for the current user that's accessing it. Okay, so I instantiated that auth provider, and then I'm setting it in my React state. The only other thing I need to do now is to actually pass that auth provider as a property to our React component. And I will pass that like so. And one thing is that could still be undefined. And so I just need to do a quick check to make sure that it's defined before I load that up in my component. Okay, so it is all done complaining at me, and I've passed I've instantiated the component and provider. Now I can go back, and with a hot reload in React, you can see in under a minute, we've added a custom Copilot into our SharePoint embedded application. And already here, I can ask it to do stuff. So show me recent job postings. Now, this custom Copilot, even though I've just dropped it in, it is already grounded on the content that is in my SharePoint embedded application. So that means that these job postings that we're looking at on the left are actually accessible, and that's what this custom Copilot is going to be able to reason over. So you can see here, I asked it, show me recent job postings. It passed back a couple of those. It can see all of this content in here, and we're getting that kind of familiar custom Copilot experience here. So we see these references that are showing up here. We can also, if I wanted to summarize a particular document, I can interact with the working set. So if you're familiar with that, I can use the slash here and look at the working set. So see people or files that I've worked with recently. So I'm going to summarize that principal software engineer job posting, send that request off, and it's going to, scope that result to just that particular file that I referenced from the working set and stream that response back. All right, so in under a minute, we added an already very capable, super powerful custom Copilot to our SharePoint embedded application. What I'm going to do now, though, is I really actually want to add some customization to that. You can see here that the default experience is this red here, and I also have a title called SharePoint Embedded Chat. I want to give it, more of an identity that matches my Contoso HR recruiting application. So I want to change some of the colors. I want to change this header, and I also want to be able to add some better suggested and zero query prompts. So I'm going to go back into Visual Studio Code, and I'm going to add that configuration. So I'm going to set this const chat config here, and we will set that up. First of all, I'm going to add a header. So I'll add this chat controller, which is just a singleton, and I'm going to give it a theme as well. So a header is really just a string, and I'm saying now it's going to be called Contoso HR Chat. Theme is just an object with a bunch of color properties. I'll set the config and pass that along as a property into my chat embedded React widget, and I'll save that, and it should, if everything's working, hot reload. And now you can see we've got blue here. It's matching the colors of my particular Contoso HR app, and I've also set the header. But it's still looking pretty plain. I want to get those zero query prompts and suggested prompts in there now to be able to, kind of give it a bit more useful capability right out of the box. And also, this is just like, again, these zero query prompts are things that I've set. I can control the look and feel of those, but these things do not have to be statically defined. And I also give it a meta prompt as well, which gives that chatbot an identity. So I can say that it's a digital assistant and educated on some of our hiring policies and hiring practices and values and things like that. So when I save that, it should have hot reloaded as well. And now when I come back, you can see I'm coming up. It already has these zero query prompts where I can see show me recent job postings. I can control the look and feel of that with icons and colors. And I have these suggested prompts on the bottom. Now, the key thing to note here is that this does not have to be statically defined. As I go through my application or different users are using it, or even based on the history of my app, I can control what prompts are showing up, how it looks, and all of that stuff depending on the app context. That is the superpower here. So it's not only giving it an identity and customizing all of that stuff based on my app in general, but where the user is in my app, what have they been doing, what jobs are they looking at. I can control the experience dynamically. That is super powerful. Okay, so now when I go into I can use one of these kind of suggested or zero query prompts. I can say, show me recent job postings. And then again, now through that like kind of convenience, it's going to show me kind of those same job postings that we were looking at before. Now, one thing that I want to be able to do though, is that I want to also be able to ground the actual underlying content, not just the usability and behavior and experience, but I want to ground the underlying data sources that this custom Copilot can reason over depending on the context or state of my application. And so, like, for example, if I had clicked on show me, this principal software engineer, if I were to, show me recent job postings again, it's not going to change the result because I've got this, because I've got this set. But that's what I want. I want to be able to actually ground the content or what this custom Copilot looks at depending on what I have set in my application. And I'll show you how to do that with our API. So I'm going to set on this on API ready here. And that is just going to get a handle to the underlying API. So I mentioned that we're going to be shipping a React component, but we're also going to have an underlying API that you can use to interact with that custom Copilot. So here I'm going to get a handle to that API, and I'm going to set the data sources. So these data sources are coming from different state in my application, and all I'm doing is when that when the changes, I'm going to set that as the actual data sources in the custom Copilot API, and I do need to pass that to on API ready. I can actually set that. So once I save that, I can go back to my application, and I do have to hit refresh because React state didn't update, so it's not going to hot reload. And once that page refreshes, it should look the same, but the behavior is going to be different now. So if I go into Principal Software Engineer and I have that selected, that is actually going to plumb through and set the data sources in the underlying API. And now when I say show me recent job postings, it should actually ground that query to this particular underlying file storage container, and it should only show response from that. So you can see it looks different. It's only responding back with the principal software engineer position. So you can do a whole bunch of powerful stuff for that. You can also ground data sources. Say I wanted to ground it on, our hiring policies or resumes or things like that. So you can ground it to the specific context of your application. That is super powerful stuff. All right, that's it for my demo. Thank you very much. Again, if you want to sign up for the private preview, you can go to ak.ms/SPE Copilot to sign your organization up and to get access to this new capability that we're offering. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you, Mark, on that one. Super cool stuff. Awesome work on the control. Brilliant stuff. Looking so easy and simple. Great stuff. Now, Bob is next on the line, and Bob is going to again focus on going through some of the updates in Copilot. I think you have a title updated in here. Maybe do we have an updated title, Bob? Maybe don't.
Well, I'm going to talk about API plugins, which is a new thing that was announced last week at Build, and it's really a cool concept. It's the ability to extend Copilot from Microsoft 365 with just using a regular REST API and some packaging. So without further ado, let's dig into it. The landscape for extending Copilot in Microsoft 365 grew at Build. We still have graph connectors. We still have plugins, although sometimes they're called actions, or we think of them as actions because you're taking action in real time. And then we have some new ways of building custom Copilots, and one of those I'm going to talk about with Seb Levere next week. So lots of fun things coming. Today I want to talk about this new type of plugin, which is an API plugin. And so really there's a few ways to make these right now. There's Teams message extensions or even Microsoft 365 message extensions that work in Outlook are still plugins. There's a whole set of plugin types for Copilot Studio, so I don't have time to get into those. Plus, I don't know that stuff as well. But today I'm going to talk about API plugins, which is the new tech on the block. So I'm going to start by showing you my API. So this is a new sample. We've got a link. We'll post a link at the end, or David might post one sooner, called Trey Research. It's a consulting company, and it's an Azure Functions app. We can take a look at that in a minute. But basically, I just want to give you a tour, an idea of the API. So if I go /API/me, I get information about me as a consultant, where I'm a fictitious user called Avery Howard today. And I guess the thing is that to show is that there's a ton of information here. So where many APIs might return a minimum amount of information because they're thinking about a mobile browser situation or something. In this case, we don't know what prompt the user asked for Copilot. So we're going to provide all the information that it might need, because all we know is behind the API, right, is that it called /me. It wants information about me. I can also get all the consultants. I can get consultants by name with this query string. I can get it based on their projects or skills, things like that, right? I can also look for projects. So there's a /API/projects. And then and it wants to know the number of hours on which project. Notice that it's taking a name, even a partial name of a project here. So it's kind of a forgiving API. It's designed to make it easy for the AI to call it, rather than having to maybe look up a project ID based on the name and then do a second call to get the details or to bill my project. And then I can also add someone to a project thusly, right? So that's fine. Let's see how this manifests in Copilot, and then I will show you how to build one of these. So here I am in Copilot, and the first thing you always want to do with a plugin is enable it. So there's this little plugin panel, and I'll go ahead and flip this one on. You can see I've been working on a few different instances, and you notice it says Trey is on Try It Now. So what happens if I click on Try Now? I actually get some conversation starters. So these are suggested prompts for things that I might want to do. And are people having trouble with my screen share? Should I stop and reshare or something?
I can see
no,
it.
it's
I don't know
working.
if that's okay.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
So
same
anyway,
here.
so let's pick one of these. I'm going to just say, what projects am I assigned to? And notice that down the bottom that I'm showing the log file from the running app. So you can see that Copilot called /API/me, and indeed these are my projects. What's not there yet is the adaptive cards. So eventually you'll be able to see adaptive cards in this display. I'm not sure exactly how they're going to show, but that wasn't working when I left for build, and since I just got back, I haven't really had a chance to dig into it. But there is, I'll show you where they get defined anyway in the schema. So now let's see, I need a Trey consultant who knows C# and is available immediately. So this is an example of a multi-parameter query. So if you look at the log file, you'll see it says skill equals C#, hours available equals 1. So this is how I'm getting the consultants that are available immediately, is they have some hours available. And you can see two of my teammates are here. Rabia Williams actually co-wrote this sample with me, and Gary Trinder helped quite a bit, as well as he wrote the developer proxy, which is a great way to get started quickly on the packaging, and I'll talk about that in a moment. So I don't know which one to assign, so I'm just going to say which one is closer to the Southridge project. And you can see that Copilot's going to query the project and the consultants again, and it's using the web now to check the mileage, and it's determined that since the project is in Sydney, Australia, Robbie is much closer at 570 miles away, compared with Gary, who is in England, over 10,000 miles away. So that's pretty cool that it figured that out. Let me now go ahead and see if we can put Robbie on the project, and it's going to show me what's called a confirmation card. So this is basically before we actually allow the API to update some information, we're going to make sure that Copilot wants to make sure that it has the facts correct. And in fact, this is a problem. We probably do have 2 weeks of work or 4 weeks of work, but we only have 20 hours in the budget. So we're really going to stick it to Rabia here and give her only 20 hours in her forecast. Has anybody ever seen this movie before in the consulting world? So now it's going to go ahead and update the dialogue. And let's see. Yeah, that looks right. That's what we have. So I'm going to go ahead and acknowledge that. And I know, right? I people are freaking out. I know, like I've seen this in real consulting environments. It's pretty scary. So I'm having my fun, poking fun at it here. So anyway, so here we are. Yes, we've successfully assigned her, and you can see the post request that went through down in the log file. So now let me switch to another scenario here. And actually, I want to see how this works. So I'm going to turn on developer mode. So minus developer on. And now if I just ask it some other prompt, like what is Rabia working on, I'm going to get back, obviously it did the call, and I get back a nice response with all kinds of detail from that detailed response. But check this out, right? Developer mode gives me some more detail. So I had the Bing web search and the Copilot plugin turned on, and it had these 5 functions, and it selected the get projects function, and it got back a 200. So this is a great way to see how Copilot is reasoning over your plugin. And, sometimes updating the description in the packaging can help to make this more accurate. So it's a good way to get some insight there. So one other little scenario here, I really need to bill my hours because I need to get my utilization bonus for the quarter. And I'm sure a couple people can relate to that. So I forgot how many hours. So I'm going to say find my hours spreadsheet in OneDrive, get the hours for Woodgrove, and then bill the client using Tray, using the plugin. And it, son of a gun, it found my spreadsheet. It grabbed the number of hours out of the spreadsheet, and there's the confirmation, and I can go ahead and bill my hours. So, big potential time saver there. And in case you're not sure if I really had a spreadsheet, you can see there is a reference there. So, there's the post request. And now if I go up and click on that reference, you can see my incredibly detailed, well-designed spreadsheet that I have made for tracking my hours. So, so the way this works, let's take a look now at how you might build one of these and how it actually works. So this is what the package looks like. So it's a manifest, which is the same manifest that you've used for Teams apps in the past. It's, in fact, you can mix and match the features. You could put this plugin, and then you could also put like a Teams tab or a chat bot, which could also be like thought of as a custom Copilot maybe. You could put, kind of a mix of things in there, and they all get installed together as one package. So let's take a look at the package format and how it all looks in Teams Toolkit. So if you grab the sample, yes, nobody knows about utilization bonuses, right? Does this mean ISVs can publish in the App Store? Yes, it does. It absolutely does. That's good news, and I'm hoping to see some good things there. We're in private preview right now, so there is an ISV program to get in on that. Otherwise, most of us will be waiting a month or two probably for public preview. So here is the solution as created in Teams Toolkit. What I love, I'll just throw in something here quickly, which is that they are now using Azure Function v4. So it is so much easier to read, and you can structure your project more nicely and things like that. But really, most of this code is just implementing the API. And I don't think, you probably don't need to know how to implement an API. You may already have one, although you probably want to make sure it's kind of simple and easily understood by the AI. Here's my manifest. And it's just an ordinary manifest, except for I have some Copilot extensions. One is declarative copilots. I'm not going to talk about those until next week, except for maybe a little tease. This is a really cool feature. But here's my plugin, right? And notice that it's tray plugin.json. So, everything is JSON files in a zip package, just like you might expect. So here is the big package, right? This is the one. This is that actually defines the plugin itself. And something you'll notice is that there's definitely detailed descriptions. These are going to be read by Copilot. And so we've filled in a lot of details on what all the different parameters are and what they need to be, and what's required, right, is important. And then here are the response. This is for telling Copilot what are the most important fields, and also kind of giving it access for a very small little preview. Whereas if we show a more detailed preview, we'll have this adaptive card to look at, which, as I said, isn't quite there yet, isn't working yet. We'll plug in a prettier adaptive card when this one was just generated by Teams Toolkit and is kind of simple. And let's keep going down and show some other important stuff. So here's get user information was one, get projects was one, post my hours. Okay, so this one is a post, so it's a little bit different. And one you'll see is now I'm filling in the required fields. So we're going to tell Copilot, hey, these things have to be provided. You can't bill a project without telling me which project it is. And again, I have the capabilities, and this time I have the confirmation card. So here's how you can customize that little confirmation. And then if we go down far enough, we'll get to some cool stuff like auth. So right now, when I left for build, auth was not working. So this one is anonymous. We're currently working on an auth version. So there are 3 types of auth that will be supported. And one is anonymous. One is an API key. So if you have a key that needs to be stored, that will get stored inside of the Teams developer portal, although Teams Toolkit can automate the whole process of storing it for you. But it's stored in a secure location inside of the developer portal. Or OAuth is an option. And for this, you'll be able to specify all the details for an OAuth connection. So it will work with Entra ID, but it will also work in it will work with other OAuth providers. So if you have a third-party OAuth, that's fine too. This tray definition, this is the Open API spec, sometimes known as a Swagger. So if I come in here and look at that, you'll see it's, oops, wrong one. This one, right? This is just a standard Open API doc, not to be confused with OpenAI. I don't know how many times I typed that incorrectly, but it was a lot. But again, putting in a lot of details in the descriptions so that Copilot can figure out what to do. And then here are localization, I think, is really important, but I don't think it's working yet. This will allow you to put tokens elsewhere in this file, for example, in the adaptive cards, and then replace those tokens based on the user's preferred language. So this is really important for us to, kind of complete the product. Obviously, there's places where you have to have localization, and we want to have it and make our products accessible to everyone. So, of course, that's something that's coming soon. And then the conversation starters, these are the ones that you saw in my demo. So that's about what I wanted to show here. And let's see, I think I have one slide left, which is sort of the links to stuff. So aka.ms/API plugins will get you to the private preview documentation. We don't normally publish that, so it's kind of unusual. Then the build session that I got to do with David Rousset, with a lot of help from Gary and Rabia behind the scenes, is here. And then The sample that I just showed is available, but fair warning, it's going to change. We're continuing to develop on this until we get all the features working. So with that, that's about what I had to share today. And let's see if there's any questions.
This week comments and here and there, there's a fair point from Hasim, I think, related on Office not missing, Office not supported. Again, this is a preview. This is public preview, private preview, super early. What we want to do, the reason why we're sharing all of this stuff with the demos and this course is that people are aware where we're investing. So that you can get ready on, okay, this is cool. Microsoft is investing here. These are the things which they are coming, so that you customers and partners wouldn't feel that it comes without a warning, or that we made all of these investments on this previous technology and now all of a sudden you come up with something new. No, that's exactly why we want to share what are we building on, what's coming, so that everybody's up to date on the new functionalities. So again, I think it's a super valuable thing that we're doing that, and that is a massive change how we used to do things within, let's say, 5 to 10 years ago, when we didn't share advance, we just all of a sudden, create stuff, and then people were pretty angry on why didn't you tell us that this is coming. So it's good to be aware. Some of this stuff is still preview, as we're saying in the both of the demos, but we want to be super transparent and open on where we are investing as well. Not that all of this is. Yeah. Thank you, Bob, for confirming. Now, feel free.
And just wanted to put in a plug for next week. Seb Levere, who was very instrumental in getting declarative copilots working, I've invited him to join me, and we're going to show the declarative copilot and go into that for 15-20 minutes next week.
Yep. Looking forward on that one as well. And another preview feature. But again, Build is a lot about excitement and a lot about preview features, getting people insights on where we're investing. And we're always being super clear on the communications in the demos and also in the Build communications, that what's available, what is GA, what is coming soon. We also need to remember that coming soon is highly relative. Coming soon might seem for somebody that next week is coming soon, but it might be 2 months or it might be 6 months, and it's still coming soon in the bigger picture. We need to remember that universe is billions and billions of years old. Just kidding. But again, everything is relative. So I think there was a link related on the private preview, just looking on Sanford's comment on the chat.
Yes, I got to go find it.
So let's
but there is one. Yep. I should have put that as well. Mind you, they are really targeting people who are going to sell apps in the store. So if you are going to do apps in the store, please apply. If you are not, then you probably aren't going to get in unless, you know what I mean? They're if you're doing it for one enterprise or for just for your own learning, then I think unfortunately we have to wait for the public preview to come.
Yeah. As we were starting the call today, we are just talking about one of the super skills with working in Microsoft technologies is also being a bit patient. So, and we want to provide everybody these capabilities when it's mature enough so that it works. It has the authentication support and all of that stuff, as an example in this particular case. So, but again, we will get you insights, advance, so that everybody knows where they should be investing, where they should not be investing, what are the areas where we are investing from Microsoft side, which is always useful. But again, thank you, Mark. That was really cool on adding Copilot on the custom SharePoint embedded app. Related on that React control, by the way, which Mark was using, we already chatted on that one during this call with the engineering team on SPFX, and there is apparently already indeed, like Mark was saying, ongoing discussions related on potentially providing that in SPFX side or figuring out how can we do that. So that should be really useful. And then thank you, Bob, on showcasing those updates on building API plugins for Copilot. That was really cool. Awesome stuff. And I love the fact that this way you do not need to actually implement the UX layer. The UX layer is basically provided by Microsoft. We just define the API the UX layer is hitting on. So, or API, it's not hitting on, it's hitting on. That's Finglish. What the API is getting called. It's probably a better way of saying that. That was English, all
Nice.
good. Excellent. Thank you, Mark and Bob, on that one. Next week, we have DC Padur joining on the call, talking about the introduction of SharePoint Pages API in Microsoft Craft. That is now generally available, and he's going to talk about the supported features in the V1 version 1 of that one. And I think we'll have people from SOX team, our China team, joining on that one as well. They were actually responsible of implementing the API implementation. DC is the feature PM of this functionality. And then, as Bob said, he's going to join with Sebastian Levert on talking about the declarative copilots in next week. I haven't updated that title yet based on that. And we might have a third demo. We might be with 2. We'll see how it goes. I think 2 is good, so we're not rushing too much on these calls, but the 3 is the maximum for sure. Now, on top of these calls, we do have a lot of activities happening throughout the week in different channels. And one of the channels which we're providing is the Discord server. Of course, there's other alternatives as well. This is just an option for those who are familiar with using Discord and having a discussion with the community. You can ask questions. People help each other there as well. We have more than 2,100 members in the Discord, which is great. And the more people we get to a single location, the more people are available to help each other to succeed. That's really the power of the community as well. Now, we are always welcoming feedback. We are always interested in collecting feedback around this course, so we are able to keep on doing this course in the future. So if the calls are valuable for you, please provide us feedback. If you have constructive feedback related on how we can improve, definitely, absolutely welcome as well. So please fill in the form at AKMS Community Course and Feedback. And recapping the availability of the recording. The recording will be available at the Microsoft Community Learning YouTube channel at community YouTube URL in 24 hours. Typically a bit earlier than that, but 24 hours gives us a bit of a buffer if there's any surprises on availability of the video production. The next call will be on June 4th. Just a reminder again, this call will be on break in July and August. We will keep on executing our Thursday series and other monthly calls, but because this call is dedicated for Microsoft presenters and Microsoft speakers, we need to have a break during summertime in the Northern Hemisphere. Otherwise, there would be an availability problem of having presenters in this course. You can always check the available community calls at AKMS community/calls. And that's it, right on time, a few minutes before. That's great. Thank you, everybody, for joining and hoping to see you in other calls and community channels during the otherwise in this week. Have a great rest of the week. We'll be in touch. Bye-bye.